Hi there, this is Nick, and I'm going to do a quick review of this new e-bike that I got. I actually got a couple of them, one for me, one for my wife, um, which is made by a company called Isinwheel, and this is the U5 Pro. Um, there is a regular U5, and this is the Pro version. It's about $100 more, and I'll tell you a little bit about the differences. But basically, what this is a 20-inch wheel folding e-bike. It's a class 2 bike, which means it goes up to 20 miles an hour top speed with the motor. And that means it is allowed to go on most public bike paths. There's a class 3 bike that'll go up to 28 to 30 miles an hour. Those are not allowed to go on most public paths. Now, the question is, how would anybody know whether your bike is a class 2 or class 3? Probably they wouldn't, but we thought we'd be good. And 20 miles an hour is actually pretty fast, so it was good enough for us. This has got 7-speed Shimano gears and has supposedly a range of about 40 miles. I don't know about that, but we'll see. I haven't fully put it to a test yet. Now, just a caveat, this is my first e-bike, so as I'm talking about this, for e-bike enthusiasts, I apologize if I'm sort of talking about things that are just basic e-bike features. I don't know what is sort of standard and what is special to this bike, but I'm going to tell some of the good features and also mention some of the not so good features, because there are things that anyone thinking about getting this bike really should be aware of. So the reason that I picked this particular bike, there are a number of criteria that we had. Basically, we were looking for a bike with 20-inch wheels, folding e-bike, class 2 in the $500 to $600 range. It had to be somewhat portable. In other words, had to be reasonably light, decent range, and basically good quality and so on. And then I had a couple of additional criteria that were, after I kind of learned a little bit did some research and learned somewhat about e-bikes. A lot of these Chinese-made cheap e-bikes, they don't really have any support at all. This company has a website. You can get replacement parts, and it has US-based support. It has a phone number. It's a Texas warehouse or Texas factory, distributor, whatever. So they do have a presence in the US, which is very nice. And one of the other things that's a big concern with cheap e-bikes is battery safety, and I'll talk about the battery in a little bit. But one of the things that I wanted to say is that this bike, the reason this one kind of stood out to me is the construction is extremely solid. This is just a really, this is it's one thing that I can say with certainty is that this is really solidly made. One of the things that the U5 Pro has that the U5 regular does not is the back rack here. This comes standard with the U5 Pro, and this is very, very solid metal. The welds here are just like massive. All of the clamps, attachments, things like that. These are all metal. Actually, that one I guess is plastic, but the actual joints are metal. And the U5 Pro in particular comes with front suspension shocks, forks, which that was a big thing, because some of the reviews I saw about this one were talking about it being a very rough ride. And that's the standard U5, which does not have suspension on the front forks. So that was a big plus for me. This bike weighs about 50 pounds. Now, I assume that's without the battery. The battery, I would say, is probably about another 7 pounds or so. I'm not very good at judging weight. I haven't actually weighed it, but it seems to be maybe 7 pounds. A couple of features, so things that I like about this bike. I like the fact that on this front stem here, and also on the rear, on the seat post, it's marked very clearly. I guess that's a centimeter marking, and you can see exactly how far you have to, when you fold it down, you'll push these down to get it as small as possible. When you put it back together again, open it out, you know exactly where you had your seat and front stem height from before you folded it up. That's a really nice feature. These gears seem decent. They have a thumb shifter to go down and up. This is an aftermarket part that I have to carry my phone. This is a pretty basic but usable display. I'll show you how that works in a minute. A bell, which is a little weird, but whatever. This is the control, the power switch, and then this is actually a slightly non-standard one. I'll explain about that in a minute. That's the off on, and then switching between the different modes of running the motor. And then I put an aftermarket mirror on there, which is very helpful. Other aftermarket parts, this seat, the one that comes with it is actually not bad at all. This one is better, but I thought the one that came with it was decent. This is an aftermarket part for attaching or putting on a basket that can be then removed whenever you want to. And that's a nice thing. Here's the back wheel that has the motor in the hub of the wheel, which is probably why this company is called Isinwheel. Don't know why Chinese companies come up with the names that they do, but that's probably it. There's the Shimano 7-speed derailleur gear. Very solid. Pedals, all that's the pedals can fold in when you fold it up. This is not exactly compact when you fold it. I'll show how it folds later. And then front and back fenders, mud guards are standard as well on the Pro version, not on the regular version. So when the boxes that these came in, they came unassembled, but or partially assembled. It's actually, the assembly process is really pretty easy, but they come in these big boxes, maybe 5 feet by 4 feet tall and about a foot wide, something like that. Very thoroughly packed in there. There's tons and tons of like packaging, and everything is zip tied together very tight and so on. You need to, the front wheel is separate. You need to put the front wheel on. It's not too hard. You need to attach the rear rack, attach the pedals, and I think just put in the seat post, which is just very standard thing. And that's basically what the construction is like. Now, in the process of construction, I started to run into the problems that this bike or this company have. And basically the problems kind of come down to one thing. It's quality control. And I get the impression that this is a very well-made bike. It's well-designed. It's actually very similar in design to a lot of other bikes that get, low-end Chinese bikes that get decent reviews. They're probably all made in the same factory, I imagine. But the quality control is not the best. So examples. One thing is that I'd read some reviews where people actually were sent the wrong bike. Maybe they got ordered the Pro version, they got the regular version. I did not have that issue, which is good. That was the first thing I checked when I opened the boxes. What I found is that there are things like my wife's bike, when I kind of got it together, the front disc brake was just adjusted all wrong. Meant I could barely put on the wheel. The disc would barely fit between the calipers on the brake, the pads on the brake caliper, and the wheel pretty much wouldn't turn. which is not a big deal if you know how disc brakes work. And it took maybe sort of 10 minutes of fiddling with a wrench, and I got it adjusted fine. But that's the kind of thing that I found. Another thing, if you look on this one, this fender here has a like a brace that attaches down here. I don't know if you can see that, but that brace is actually held in place by a zip tie. And that is because this screw here, which is in place when you get the bike, you're supposed to unscrew it, put this brace in place. This is one of the few things that you have to assemble, is attach the front fender. You put the brace in place, you put the screw back in. This screw is so tightly in place, I don't know how they did it, but it will not budge. I've used penetrating oil. I've wrecked at least one Allen wrench trying to get it open. I haven't given up entirely. I'm going to maybe try putting some heat on it, see if that'll help. I've used locking pliers to try to turn it. No good. So that's why right now there's a zip tie on there. But yeah, that's the kind of thing. There were some other, like the rear rack was a little hard to attach because things didn't line up quite right. There was one of these little Allen screws here that for some reason had a different hole, a different size hole, or something blocking the hole so that the Allen wrench would not go in. Luckily they sent some spares, so I was able to swap it out with a bolt that actually had a correct hole for that particular wrench. But things like that. The assembly manual, or the manual in general, is basically how do you put it together? Very quick overview of how it works, and I think 1 or 2 troubleshooting tips. There are there's no information about, how it works, how troubleshooting in the sense of, if you have a battery failure, where does the wiring go, all that kind of thing. And the reason that kind of started coming up is that the big thing, again, quality control, this bike, my wife's bike, put it together, turned it on, worked fine. This bike was dead when I got it. And that was, the one huge issue with this bike. No power at all when I turned it on. This is after charging the batteries for quite a while. And I called the support number, got through in maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, I'd say, which is not bad at all. The guy took my information. He said, make a short video of what's wrong with the bike. And then he gave me a particular email address to send it to. And I did that. I'd actually knew that it was the bike, not the battery, because I'd had the 2 bikes and I could swap out the batteries. And this battery worked fine in my wife's bike. So I knew it was the bike itself. I did my little video, sent it off, and it was about a little over 48 hours later, I got a response. And they said, we think the problem is the dashboard, which is this little gizmo here. We're going to send you a new one. And that arrived in a little under a week. So the total time from my calling to getting the replacement part was just over a week, which is fair. It's not bad. They didn't FedEx it overnight or anything like that, which would have been nice customer service, but it's not terrible. There were no instructions on how to install it. Luckily, it's incredibly simple. You just basically, there's a couple of little wrenches there to get the old one off of the handlebars. And then there are a couple of cables in the back. And all of the cables, where are they? Somewhere. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Right here. These are just sort of snapped together. They stay together very solidly, but the cables just sort of push into place. They're color-coded inside if you were to open those up. So it's really easy to see where everything fastens. And I attached this new dashboard and turned it on. It worked perfectly. So, or it seemed to work perfectly, and for the most part, it does. It measures distance a little wrong. My wife's bike counts the miles correctly. Mine overestimates them, puts them as higher than they actually are. And I'm working with the customer service right now on fixing that. But you know, overall, I'm pretty happy with the support that I got. So that's something that I can say. It's decent. It's not amazing, but it's decent. As for the battery for this, battery looks like this. And this, I'll show you how this thing folds and where this battery goes. This is probably a standard e-bike battery. I don't know. As I say, this is my first e-bike. It's maybe 7 pounds. It's got a key in here. When this is in the bike, that the key goes underneath the sort of central strut. This is where the battery goes inside this. I don't know what you call it, strut or whatever, but inside that. And the key is underneath. So it's a little hard to get it in and out because you can't see what you're doing. But basically when it's, right now it's in the position where you can remove the battery. If the key is in that position, that means the battery can be removed. If I put this in the bike and turn it to there, that locks the battery in the bike, but you can still take the key out, which means if you park it somewhere, you can take the key with you. Nobody can, turn on the motor. They could still steal the bike if you don't lock it up, but at least they can't use the motor. And then if I put that in and I turn it the rest of the way so that it's parallel with the body of the battery, then that is turned on. Again, the key won't fall out at that point. It's locked in place. So even though it's on the underside of the bike, it's not going to fall out. So let me show you. I'll take the key back out for now. By the way, this comes with a little tool kit with some Allen wrenches, a little crappy screwdriver, spare key, some other spare parts. So, enough to get it put together and do some very basic maintenance, but nothing special. So let me show you how this thing folds, and I can also then show you how that battery goes into place. It folds, it's not tiny when it folds, I'll tell you, but it's small enough you can get it into an SUV or whatever. These pedals kind of fold in like that. The front stem, you would drop this down. The handlebar you would drop down like that, and then there is a button. There's a large clamp here, and there is a little button on the side that you can't see, but if I pull that up, it allows me to open this crank, and it's very tight, which is good because it holds it in place. And once you open that, this will then drop down like so. And if you don't fasten the stem in place, the stem will drop out like that. And then similarly, there is a button here for this clamp. You push the button, pull that back, and then this whole section swivels like this until basically it's back here, or back parallel to the other half. And that works fairly well. Once you have it open like this, you have access to where the battery goes. So cleverly I've put the battery down, so give me half a second, I'll grab that. Battery goes in here. The keyhole needs to be on the bottom. Push that up into place, and then when it's in place, I can fiddle around until I find the keyhole on the bottom. This is, I guess they put it on the bottom because then it doesn't get like rain and dirt and stuff like that coming in from the top, but it's a little hard to find. But if I turn it to that first position, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little metal stud that kind of slides out, and that locks the battery in place. The battery then can't be removed. And if I turn it all the way around, then the battery is kind of activated and ready to go. So I'll close this up again. Go over here now and push the on switch for a couple of seconds. Powers up. So that is ready to go. It's got shows the energy on the top, your speed. PAS is power assist, pedal assist, sorry, mode. And in 0, the motor is completely disabled. It doesn't kick in at all. So this is like a regular bike, and it rides very well as a regular bike. It's quite comfortable. The ride is relatively smooth. I tried putting a suspension seat post on here and it wasn't great, so I took it off again. It's good enough without. And you can go through the power assist modes by pushing the plus and minus over here. So if I push plus, I'm into power assist 1, saying power assist, pedal assist. 1 is 10 miles an hour. If you're pedaling, the motor will kick in and it'll bring you up to 10 miles an hour if you're not going up a large hill, in which case you might not be able to make it quite up to that. But 2 is 12. 3, I think, is 15. 4, I believe, is 18. And 5 is 20. And then if I just push the power switch just lightly or briefly, I can switch between trip meters, voltage, that's showing the voltage right now, current, and time since I turned it on. So you can kind of switch between those options there. So it kind of gives everything that you need. In addition to pedal assist, it has a throttle, which is here. If you turn this while it's in anything other than pedal assist 0, you can turn the motor on without having to pedal at all. So that's a nice thing. That's basically how it works. There's nothing to it much more other than that. Some people have complained with this bike that it takes a long time for the pedal assist, the motor, to kick in after you turn it on. So they'll say, they go from 0, they're pedaling along, they go to 1, continue pedaling, and it'll be like 20 seconds before the motor kicks in, which is a long time. And then they say that after they stop pedaling, the motor will still go for a little while, which is a little strange. I've not had that experience. My wife hasn't had that experience. For us, it's been about 3, maybe 3.5 seconds after you switch to a pedal assist mode that the motor actually kicks in. And the moment you stop pedaling, it turns off. So that's pretty responsive, and I'm fine with that. One thing I wanted to say about the battery, batteries for these e-bikes can be dangerous because they can catch fire when they're being charged, that kind of thing. One of the things you want to ensure when you're buying an e-bike is that the battery is UL certified. That means it has to be inspected and has certain things that mean that it supposedly is safe. Now, who knows whether these Chinese companies are just slapping UL certification labels on everything without doing the testing. That would be like a major violation if they're doing that. I have no way to know really whether this battery is 100% safe. What I can say is that the charger, when you charge it, the charger gets warm. It doesn't get hot, it gets warm, and the battery itself doesn't heat up at all. So that is good. I discovered one thing by mistake, by accident, which is that the charger will shut off after the battery gets up to power. That wasn't specifically stated in any of the manual or whatever, but I found it out by mistake or by accident because I kind of forgot my battery was charging, which is the sort of thing you do when you're getting old. And I went out to run an errand, came back, it was fully charged, and the charger was cold. So basically it had brought it up to full charge, and then the charger shut off after that. So that's a very good feature. That's an important safety feature, and I was very glad to find that out. Overall, I really like the bike. It feels great to ride. It's responsive. The brakes are fine. I may upgrade them with hydraulic brakes at some point, but they work fine. The gears are okay. They could use some adjustment. Sometimes they skip. That's not unusual for the Shimano type gears, and that's something that I'm going to take a little time and try to adjust. Should be able to do that. If not, I could take it to a bike shop, and pretty much anybody who knows how these style of gears work should be able to adjust it. There are quality control concerns for sure. And I would say that if you don't know basic bike maintenance, how to adjust the brakes, things like that, this is probably not a good choice for you. You should probably spend more and get a name brand bike that you can be pretty sure has got good quality control and is adjusted properly from the factory. I wasn't happy about the quality controls issues. I was especially unhappy about the fact that the bike didn't work, but they were resolved. Overall, very, very solid. Feels great to ride. Pretty comfortable ride. Motor works perfectly. Feels very, very solid. Doesn't feel like there's any parts that will give out as far as the frame, the pedals, that type of thing. So overall, I'd say this was $550. The non-pro version is about $450. That's including the shipping. I'm very happy with it, really enjoying it. I would recommend it as long as you are aware of potential quality control issues and willing to do some work on it to set it up, if need be.